Welcome to Researching Rabbit Holes with Lauren Nicole. This is the very first episode. And so in this episode, we're going to talk about what a library is, the different types of libraries, and some of the resources in libraries that are useful to you. The public library is a community space meant for members of a particular community, a city, a county, um, funded partly by your tax dollars, some grant funding, and some fundraising efforts done either by the county administration or even the Friends of the Library, which is a volunteer group of people that support particular branches of a library. So if you did not know about the Friends of the Library, look into your local branch and see if they have a friends group. And if that's something you would like to join, they typically will have um, fundraising efforts for the library. Sometimes they help the librarians or library staff acquire materials for library programming, and sometimes they have their own events or programs at that particular branch of the library, right? So that's a way to get involved with your local branch if that's something that you're interested in. Okay. The library is a place where you can utilize resources for free. Sometimes there might be a program or an activity that does have a cost, but in general, it is for free. And the free part is because of the collective taxes of the residents in a particular community. So when you have a library in your neighborhood or your city, you have every right to take advantage of the resources in that library. So please do so. So the different types of libraries include, as we mentioned, public libraries, right, for members of the community. And when you're traveling and you go to a different city or a different state, you can go visit any of the public libraries that are available, but you typically would not be able to borrow their physical resources because there are limitations on signing up for a library card. However, there are some library systems that do allow non-residents to sign up for a library card, and there are some systems for free, and there are some systems that might charge a fee for non-residents. And when you consider the value of all of the resources in a library, it's still not a bad deal to consider. Next, you have your academic libraries. Academic libraries are those libraries located in colleges and universities. Academic libraries support the needs of students and faculty members in an institution. They assist with research efforts, and they house a lot of the materials that students will need to be successful in the different programs offered at your different academic institutions. Next is going to be your law library. So your law library is typically attached to a law school. So you might also have a university that has a separate law library. That library is there to support the needs of the law students and faculty members in finding cases and historical research and things of that nature. You do sometimes have standalone law libraries, or in the case of my city, our courthouse has a law library that is open to the public to go and to search for cases. And it is not uncommon for some law offices to have either their own small library or to hire librarians to support them in their legal research. Next, we have medical libraries. Much in the same way as your academic library or your law library, you might find that some universities also have medical libraries to support their medical schools and those students and those faculty members as well. But you can also find medical libraries inside of hospitals. So it will likely be a very small space for families to go and to sit and to read and to study and to wait. But those spaces are also there to support your healthcare workers that might need assistance with research and for managing and maintaining certain documents and resources in the building. Okay. You also have special libraries. So there are a number of very niche libraries for very specific things, such as music libraries, or you may have some libraries that are connected to or tied to museums, right? Something very, very specific, right? And we call those special libraries. And then there are a number of private libraries. So these are not accessible to any and everyone. You may have to be a member of an organization, or these are libraries that are part of organizations and corporation businesses that manage their own archives. They manage their own resources and their own documentations, and they lean on librarians to help them manage their resources. Lastly, let's talk about the resources available to you in the library. Now, don't mind me because I'm still navigating microphone. Uh, I'm still navigating microphone issues over here, so bear with me while I get my equipment together. So let's talk about the resources available at the library, and let's think of it in two ways: the library as a place and the library as a space. So the library as a place offers the physical resources, and then you also have electronic resources. So we have moved into the era of digital resources. So your newspapers and your magazines, though some libraries may still have physical copies, much of that is going to be available in digital format now, which also means that you don't necessarily have to be within the physical space of the library to use library resources. You may have something like a small business resource center, which in different libraries that might look completely different. Some library branches might just have a small section of books on a shelf, and some might actually have a separate section. But this is meant to support small businesses, local business owners, with resources from bookkeeping to managing taxes to organizing your business and expanding your business, marketing, etc. Right? So in areas, sometimes more resources are more resources of a particular type are prevalent in a particular area because that area calls for those things. So if there is an area of a city or a particular city where small businesses are thriving, then you may have a larger small business resource center, or their resource center might be stocked with more materials than others where that's not as popular, right? So it just depends on where you are. But some also might have, small business classes or meetings or workshops that people of the public can go to and, network and meet people and have the opportunity to grow their businesses in person as well. Most libraries have a children's section or a youth services section, and this area will have a range of materials for your children, right? From babies to high schoolers. You might have your hardback baby books, your low-level e-readers for your children that are just learning how to read. And it may go up to your YA, which stands for young adult novels, which are really good, by the way. And they will also include graphic novels and sometimes manga. And again, this is area specific, but depending on the library, you might find an extensive manga collection. So for my One Piece fans, my anime nerds, go to the library and see what manga that they have available that you can follow. You also will have computers. Most library branches will have computers, so you can access whatever you need to access on a regular day. Say you don't have a personal computer at home, yours stopped working, it broke, you need access to a computer, you can go to the library to use the computers to get on your YouTube, to check your email, etc. It will have your office suite so that you can work in Word and PowerPoint, right? Because those things cost money. So you might have a personal computer, but maybe you don't have Office Suite because you're not paying for that subscription. You can access Adobe and those kind of products as well. Or if you needed to print something in a PDF format, you can do that. Oftentimes, libraries will have fax machines. Some of them still do, some of them don't. It just depends. I would say call your library before you go, and you can scan and copy things as well, right? So something as simple as that can make or break your day. When you need something quick, when you need to make a copy, when you need to simply print out a document on your way going somewhere important, remember that that is available to you. Now, typically, when it comes to printing, and it depends on the branch, it depends on the system, you may have to pay for faxing or something like that. So you can find out how much that is. Oftentimes you can find it on the library website, but again, you can simply call your local branch and ask them, hey, how much does it cost to print? Can I print in color, right? So your color printing might be a little bit more than your black and white printing, but if that's an option, then it's good to know that that's there for you. You will also have varying programs and activities for everyone. Some are for children, some are for adults, and some are going to be for the family, right? Every month, most libraries are going to follow some sort of theme, right? So some sort of cultural theme or a holiday theme or something like that, and be on the lookout for what kind of events and programs and activities that they have around different themes, right? So it's not uncommon to see a decorated bulletin board or a display case that's going to showcase some of the resources that the library houses around a specific theme. And those things are to get you interested in those materials. So if you see something that's in a display case, ask about it. And so that way you can have it on your radar to potentially borrow it or read it. Also, classes. So you might have, well, it's not a class, but some librarians do still do story times for your young ones. And so that's a common thing for like stay-at-home moms or small daycares to bring in young children during the day and participate in story time, because this is very important for early literacy and childhood development, right? You will also have a range of classes from basic computer skills, right? Helping adult populations develop computer literacy, because everyone doesn't necessarily know how to use a computer. And there are different levels to that as well. It really just depends on who works at a particular branch and what strengths they have in a skill set, right? So you might find that you have to go to a different branch in your city to take the kind of classes that interest you or the kind of classes that you need. And it's a matter of who works where, right? Some libraries will also have a center for people who are learning English as a second language or another language, right? So it really just depends. But one of the ways that you can find out what your library offers is by going to your library website or subscribing to their newsletter. Some systems have newsletters, so you can get emails that will send out blasts about the different programs happening at the library that are going to be coming up over the weekend and coming up over, this set of holidays, right? So go and sign up for the newsletter or check out that library website to see what's there, what's available, right? So let's move to the library as a space. So the obvious would be that it's a building, right? But we don't think about the fact that this is essentially the last frontier of third space. Now, a lot of cities are undergoing amazing development efforts where they're building parks and playgrounds and community spaces for families to be able to go, right? But the library is essentially the last place where any member of the community can just go and sit in a space without having to buy something, without having to engage in anything in particular to be in the space. You can just be there. You can go with your own devices and use the Wi-Fi for free. You can go and read a book. You can go and sit and study, and you can stay there from the time the library opens to the library closes if you so choose, because that is a function of it as a space to be. So you can sit out in the open at a table or a chair, depending on the size of your library and what kind of layout it has. And in many branches often have study rooms. So you can, check out a study room for yourself, for a group of people. Say you have a weekly book club meetup that you like to host or that you like to attend, or there's something of interest that you want to partake in and you want to include a group of people. You can go to the library. You can see what kind of study rooms they have, what size groups that can be accommodated in those spaces, and take part in that space. All right. Libraries often have something called maker spaces, where those people who are creative and crafty can go and do a number of things. They make zines, right? Which is just like these do-it-yourself handmade booklets or magazines or whatever it is that you want it to be. They are doing various crafts from crocheting to collage. In maker spaces, it's not uncommon to have 3D printers where you can go and submit. I don't know what it's called, but you can submit. I don't know what it's called when you have like an item that you want to print, but you can submit it and then they'll print it off for you. And some do it for free and some do it at a small cost, or there's like a limit to how much you can do for free. Again, find out from your local library if that's available. Some libraries even rent sewing machines. So it really just depends. So it's not uncommon to have something like a tool library or a seed library where you can go to the library to get seeds to plant in your own garden at home, or your own indoor garden, or if you just want to plant that one thing, right, to go and check that out, right? So that space. And it's also not uncommon to find that a library is used to display art. So there might be local artists or local exhibits, moving exhibits, children's programs, etc., that they will display the art within the building or within a particular space. So one of my libraries has a space that functions much like an art gallery, and that is what that space is dedicated to year round. Other libraries will simply have the artwork on the walls around the building, right? So the library has a little bit of something for everyone, because if you are a local artist, you can see if and when and how to have your artwork displayed in the building. And that's just another way of getting eyes on your work. And there are just so many opportunities for those kinds of things. If you are a local entrepreneur, if you are a teacher, a crafts person, if you want to host a workshop, you can pitch your idea to the library as a space to host what it is that you would like to offer to the community. And you may be able to do it for free. You may be able to do it at a particular cost. It just depends on the rules of that library. You may be able to rent space within the library building as a venue, right? So the library serves everyone to some degree. And it's just such a beautiful thing. And so many people don't really understand all that is available outside of the books. But I am here to help you understand. So, in today's episode, we talked about what the library is. We touched a little bit on the friends and ways that you can get involved in your local library. We talked about the different types of libraries, and then we covered some of the resources available, whether you are looking at the library as a space or a library as a place. And so we'll talk a little bit more about these resources, how you can access them, and how, when you have your personal curiosities, you can do your own research and you can go down your own rabbit holes. So thanks for watching, and catch me in the next episode.